All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's start this.
I'm busy reading about Twilight. Oh, this is awesome. Okay, screw Twilight.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to the Ultra Confusion Thursday Night Hangout. I, of course, am your host, Charlie, and I'm joined once again by the prolific commoner himself, Zealeus.
Yeah, what's up? So I have an issue tonight.
Okay, what's your issue?
On one hand, I'm proud to have my Georgia hat on.
Uh-huh.
On the other hand, the only freaking plastic cups I can find in this house have the dreaded Auburn logo. So my brain is kind of melting right now from a disparity of Auburn versus Georgia. It just doesn't work together, and it kind of makes me cry a little. I'm like, what the hell? It just.
I don't
it's not right, man. It's not right.
It's pro SEC, man.
No, I don't buy it. Sorry, not buying it.
All right, moving into a little bit more of the video game realm.
Okay, I was in the game realm, man. That's close.
All right, fine. Yes, you were. It was indeed a game.
A game of mascots. Some have more than others. Continuing on.
Anyways, let's see here. What do we have in store for you, the viewers of All the Confusion? So, remember a couple weeks ago when that huge debacle about this girl who was, sold her body for a better review?
If only I had a body to sell. I don't think anybody wants me.
Well, it turns out all of that was baloney. It turns out that a jealous ex-boyfriend of the girl who created the game, Depression Quest, decided to out her by saying that she was having sexual relations with a reviewer at Kotaku. What was left out of that itty little conversation was, one, the gentleman at Kotaku was her boyfriend.
That's a pretty important detail. One might think.
Yes. So, you might have seen these crazy, or not crazy, but these very intense petitions that have been circulating around, calling out all gamers and all individuals within the video game industry to cool your fucking jets and to be kind to everyone. Stop trying to bash people because of their sexual orientation. Basically, what everyone's been trying to do, everyone who has a soul has been trying to do since day one.
What if you don't have a soul? Just throwing that out there.
If you have a conscience.
Well, actually, I would say less people have a conscience than have a soul.
Okay, but I'm just saying, there's a chance that someone who has no soul still has a conscience.
This is true. All right, fair.
Or a moral compass.
Okay.
Anyways, anyone who isn't a complete douchebag asshat understands that, if you want to criticize an individual, you do it in a constructive manner. Last night I did my something slightly different, and I basically breached the subject, and I want to breach it again with Zealeus so we can get his opinions as well, because I know for a fact that Zealeus is probably going to try to play devil's advocate, because that's what he does.
What's devil's advocate? I don't understand.
Exactly.
I usually just tell the truth, man. The whole truth, not the truth, but the... Okay, carry on.
Okay, anyways, so... is it a possible goal? Sort of.
Sort of.
There's always going to be the douchebag asshats out there.
Yes.
That will continue to be the douchebag asshats as long as they get the internet to protect them. Now, of course, this goes back to, are we looking to go in the direction of Real ID like Blizzard or Battle.net try to pass? Probably not, because I'm seeing more of like a stalker vibe happening than people calming their fucking jets about bashing people.
Okay, here's my thing.
Okay.
I say this all sincerely, no devil's advocate.
Right.
Is I know that there's been a push from multiple circles to be like, one way to stop, in particular coming from the school side of things, to stop online bullying, and then kind of working your way up, to people who are older than 16,
Right.
or 14 or 13,
Right.
is the using real IDs online. So whatever you see online is attached to your real persona.
Mm-hmm.
My very unscientific opinion is that's complete bollocks. Not the actual idea of doing it, but that it's actually going to help prevent any kind of online bullying in the first place.
No.
With online bullying, what happened with the online game reviewer we were talking about, that's obviously a subset of online bullying. Can have anywhere from the youngest kid to the oldest person, doesn't matter. But I don't see how tying a real ID to your online handle or whatever is going to stop it, because I don't think it's a matter of that's going to stop it. It's just a matter of the reality of the internet and how fast information flows. I mean, I look back to when I was a kid, in grade school, and how much I was bullied in grade school. And it just so happened that back in the day, you left the playground. Well, it left the playground. I have no doubt in my mind that had the internet been in full effect as it is now, that those kids would have been posting the same thing on Facebook, full name and everything. There just almost seems to be like this disconnect of what's going on in the real world versus the internet. It's not necessarily because your ID there; it's just because it's the internet in general. People just kind of go into this whole different mode. And let's be honest, people are assholes in real life. Why am I led to believe that people being jerks and asshats in real life is going to magically change just because their real name is attached to their online handle? So I understand the intention behind wanting to attach a real name to an online handle and commenting in the hopes they'll prevent people from being asshats. But I see absolutely no reason to really believe that's going to change people's actions online to not being an asshat. I just don't buy that at all.
I agree. One of the best points that immediately springs to mind is there is a shit ton of bullying via Facebook.
Oh yes.
And this is with your real name. It's not like you're.
Oh wait! Gotta hold back. Don't remember, kids turn to Twitter now.
Whatever. It all traces back. I mean, I'm going to be totally honest. The average IQ for one of these younger fellows or ladies on the internet, when it comes to what should or should not be said, posted, done, recorded, is scarily low.
And I see it all the time. It's in every school I've worked at, we've always tried to impart it on students. And I know we talk about this a lot of podcasts, but bring it up again is that what you put online, that's a reality, so to speak. It's there. It's on the internet. It's going to stick with you. And there's just this disconnect of what's going on in the real world versus the internet, but oftentimes they intertwine and they end up crashing courses at some point. I know people better than me have tried figuring out a solution, and it's just one of those things where it's like, what do you do? I don't know the answer to it, and I don't think anybody's found a viable solution to it yet. It's just one of those things that's a reality of the upcoming, especially generation, of how do you deal with this. And the reality that everything is now, everything you do on your phone, every kid, they got their smartphone and everything is tied to some kind of online account. I mean, hell, your iPhone now, everything is tied to the iCloud. So everything you do, you got the Google phone where everything's now instantly tied to your Google account. So it's like everything you're doing on these mobile devices, it's now attached to some kind of online database somewhere. So it's kind of like every action, maybe that's the difference, is that's the world that they live in. And so they don't think, we still are old enough where the online world is still second thought. It's still like, oh, wait, this is online. It's not a part of our everyday life, whereas the kids coming up now, that is their everyday life. It's what they grow up in. It's all they know. So why would they think any differently than what they know? It's just what they're immersed in.
Right. Well, I mean, so another thing is, if you were to go the real ID route, one of my personal fears about this would be that you may end up not actually fixing the problem. Instead of someone being able to spread false rumors and have everyone jump and attack an individual like the female developer, What could end up happening is because the real name's attached to that person's moniker, they might stir up some shit, and then you've got a brand new lynch mob that just goes straight after them. And so it's not really fixing the problem. Yes, you can scare the crap out of the douchebag asshats out there, but at the same token, you're turning into what they wanted you to do earlier, except it's the wrong target.
Well, another problem, we just saw this with the I'm not sure if you saw the news, where a bunch of celebrities,
Yep.
their Apple ID, whatever happened, something happened, so, supposedly, topless pictures of famous actresses were leaked or whatever. All of a sudden, if you have this real ID, you have the very real potential where these accounts are going to be hacked.
Mm-hmm.
So all of a sudden, the real John Duvall account is going to be hacked, and now somebody's going to post on my behalf.
Mm-hmm.
That's now attached to my real ID. So yes, it definitely raises other potential consequences of everything being tied to a real ID. There's pros and cons to both. I'm obviously a fan of, the idea of anonymity online, that you can be anonymous online. It doesn't have to be attached to a real ID. I don't see anything wrong with it. Whether or not you're an asset in real life, with your real handle versus being an anonymous handle, either way, it's going to kind of suck. But most of the times, regardless of using a real ID or being anonymous, it really comes down to that, let's call it a forum, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
What the moderation rules are on that forum. Are the moderation rules that you can be an asset, like say 4chan, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
4chan people do. If you've ever been to 4chan, you probably don't need to go. I'll put it that way. But anything literally goes in the world at 4chan.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just what they do. And if they had real IDs, it would never happen at 4chan. But if they had real IDs, it would probably happen anyways.
Right.
And websites that have stricter moderation, same thing goes. I mean, I look at comments on Facebook, and there's plenty of asshat comments on Facebook, which are obviously attached to a really real identification process. So but there's definitely an argument for anonymity, which I think far outweighs any argument to have a requirement to attach your real ID to your online persona.
Right, and to be honest with you, if it were to be optional, only the people who knew that they weren't going to be total asshats may do that, but in a way they'd be setting themselves up for a shitstorm because people find them as an easy target.
True.
Another thing you brought it up is moderation. One of my biggest issues is, or one of the solutions you could definitely do is you have a moderator. You have someone who looks over everything, make sure that people aren't getting into flaming wars. They're not trying to belittle anyone. They're not trolling, unless trolling's allowed.
4chan.
But the issue with that is that you're now putting it in the hands and discretion of someone's view of things.
Mm-hmm.
And they may have buddies that are doing this that they may let slide, and the buddies might be able to influence the moderator to, destroy someone who's not doing anything.
There's definitely that trust factor among the community. One of my favorite websites, I don't visit it quite as much anymore just because I'm busier now, is metafilter.com.
Mm-hmm.
I've been a part of that website since it first started, and they've always had active moderators. And I think for the most part, it's one of the best websites on the internet as far as fair and balanced moderation goes.
Mm-hmm.
But if they have a subsection of the website called Meta Talk, which is basically kind of like it sounds. It's talking about the website. And one of the things that constantly comes up there is, what are the moderators doing, as far as deleting, most of the time in the form of deleting comments.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly usually what they're trying to do, is kind of head off flame wars, is what it comes down to.
Right.
And deleting those comments, and that's usually what the biggest shitstorms erupt over, is usually people's choice of words and how the moderators are responding to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, first off, that's not a job I would want for anything in the world, because nobody's going to be happy with anything you moderate. Right. Whatever you can delete the most asshole comment ever, and somebody's going to disagree with your deletion over it. That's just the way it is. And I think that's one of the best websites as far as moderation goes out there. So I think it can be. And it's also because they're very transparent about it. They have this open. But it's very hard to do. I think that website does it very well in how much crap the moderators still take over their moderation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's only what you see publicly, not even the PMs behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
So and I'm sure, other websites, especially because this is one big forum, you basically have the 3 different subsets. I'm sure your other websites is like Reddit. Reddit, for instance, is notorious for that, for absolutely terrible moderation.
Mm-hmm.
Because with Reddit, basically, you have reddit.com, and then you have your subboards. Be it, the big ones are like technology or Apple or atheism is, I think, actually a default one.
Mm-hmm.
But that's actually one of the biggest things against Reddit is you only have your moderators who created that subreddit.
Mm-hmm.
And so Reddit is flagrant with basically the moderators doing exactly what you're talking about, where they're only deleting stuff basically they don't like, or they want to like raise the power users.
Right.
So if there's a double post, well, they're going to delete the person who's not their buddy. So there's good subreddits on Reddit that are there, but especially the popular ones are absolutely notorious for just being terrible.
Mm-hmm.
For that exact reason.
Right.
Because of moderation.
Now, kind of changing gears a little bit, outside of the forum, but more into game with, toxic gaming moderation.
Oof, that's a tough one.
It is a very tough one. And of course, Real ID would be potentially very devastating. Because, see, here's probably the biggest issue. If Real ID were to be fully implemented across the board, there are a lot of people who utilize online or games in general for escapism.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes, you might have it would not be surprising to see some high-powered CEO playing a character who maybe is a conniving dickwad.
Yeah.
But because of the anonymity, he can get away with that. But and of course, hopefully, he controls it, so it's just in game. But it kind of allows him to let off steam. Now, if you remove that and basically put the microscope on top or magnifying glass on top of every single player, going, oh, by the way, this guy is really, the CEO of this company. So, it could be a. This is a terrible reference, but I'm going to do it anyways. It could be like that scene in A Knight's Tale where Heath Ledger is jousting against the king who's supposed to be hidden. And, of course, everyone, including Heath Ledger, knows that it's the king. But he decides, fuck it. He wants to be anonymous. He wants to actually joust. Let's fucking do this. So, fuck, I totally derailed.
You're talking, and it makes sense. No, I hear where you're going with that because that's the idea, that CEO is basically the analogy of the king in A Knight's Tale. Where they can kind of live in this alternate world. Actually, I know a good one.
Okay, go for it.
It is from Doctor Who.
Yep.
It's from season 7.
Okay.
And I don't know if you remember the episode. It's the one where basically they go off into the playground,
mm-hmm.
like on the moon.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the characters on the
the
moon, he's like basically the king of the universe. It turns out.
Yeah.
But here he is he's on the planet, and he's like basically in the moon at this time. It's a planet for exiles, is what it comes down to.
Yep.
And here is basically the king of the universe on the moon as an exile, precisely for that escapism.
Yeah.
And for him, obviously, it made sense for where he was in his life.
Right.
And it worked out for him in the end because he came back and be a king. Yay, life goes on. That's what the Doctor does.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see that. I think the other issue too it could have is PvP.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason I don't play on PvP servers.
Mm-hmm.
People are fucking douchebags on PvP servers, but that's the point of the PvP server. It's to grief people and, dick people over because that's what you do on PvP servers. Let's be honest, people. So it makes sense. But, to have that real ID attached to it, or even in guilds, because people in guilds guildmates can get pissed off by other guild. It's just, no, it would be no. It would cause griefing in real life is all it would do. So you move griefing from like the virtual world to all of a sudden becomes like, now all of a sudden I'm getting like, poop on my front porch exploded with a little matchstick because I pissed off my guildmate.
Yeah.
And they now know my real name.
Yep.
So, yeah, I never thought, but yeah, that'd be terrible. Not the poop part, but if my guildmates knew who I was in real life, I mean, or any MMO,
right?
Like that would just take a lot of out of it. And I don't see what. And the thing with the online games is, yes, I know there's asshats. And granted, most of my experience was in MMOs, but there are very easy ways in MMOs to deal with jerks.
Mm-hmm.
You have the mute function. You can leave the channels, and guess what? It's basically like the person doesn't exist anymore. Mm-hmm. So there are very real ways in MMOs. I know there's real issues out there with the online, but at least in MMOs, there's ways to deal with asshats.
Absolutely. It would be interesting to see, and it wouldn't even be possible, but if there was a way to basically, when you log into a forum, be able to block certain users' posts.
Most of the bigger websites, usually they're called kill files.
Mm.
So most of the bigger forums that I've seen, they don't have it built into it. But I know, like Metafilter and Reddit at least, they all have like some kind of enhancement suite that basically you can install as like an add-on for your browser, and you can have a kill file on it.
Gotcha.
So in that regard, yes, you can definitely block users by using some third-party extensions.
Right.
But I don't see many forums that have a built-in blacklist feature. I've never really seen a good argument in favor of having a built-in blacklist feature.
You block all the moderators.
Ooh, I like that. There you go.
So you can truly speak your mind, because you don't know if the moderator's speaking to you or not. Just turn up in the forum and it's locked. You're like, yeah, screw it. I'm going to do something else.
There was one website, I don't even know if it's still around, that was an entertaining one, where if you're being in flame bait, basically they remove all the vowels.
Oh, nice.
So that one was pretty entertaining, I thought. I can't remember what website. It was a well-known website at the time. I just can't remember what it is now. But that was their thing. I think they called it like eviscerating or something like that, where they remove all the vowels.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's see here.
Is there any gaming news this week?
Yes, is there any gaming news?
We tangentially talked about gaming. I think it was a good part of the reality. The reality too is kind of going along with the idea of that is the reality is whether or not we like it, get off my lawn, is gaming is going online by and large.
Absolutely.
So, this issue of, how to deal with online asshats, it's only become more prevalent as time goes on. And maybe we worry more about how does the end user deal with it versus what should the company do for me to deal with the asshats.
Okay, so for me, because I'm a crotchety old man, seeing this evolution of single-player games go online is like stabbing me repeatedly in the back, because I want to play games when I want to play games. If it's a single-player game, I want to play it at any time. I don't want to walk around going, is there a Wi-Fi signal here? Is there a Wi-Fi signal here? Wait. Okay, if I play right this way, are they going to get 2 moves in before the signal dies? No!
I think you need a better 3G service, yeah.
Anyways, I think it's just pointless. It's not point. Okay. There are ups and downs to forcing individuals to play a single-player game online. One, it's a port of another game that's already online. So you're basically connecting to the other world. And also, they need to make sure that you're not using bots to cheat in the game.
Okay, so what are the consumer advantages to having a single-player game forced online?
Constant updates. Because every single time you connect to that server, it's going to check to see if there's any quick fixes, because they're going to keep rolling out repeatedly. You don't have to go anywhere to find them. Even though the vast majority of the marketplaces when you connect to said internet will inform you that you need to update your game. Another thing is a lot of these online games, even special single player games, they have like special events, special items that become available, or they raise the chance to be able to gain a rarer item or something to show your loyalty for playing the game during X amount of time. Now, of course, the interesting thing is, so a lot of people have had a huge issue with falling in love with a single player game and then not being able to break away. Well, one of the strategies that works two different ways is the fact that you have a finite amount of energy. Once you're out of energy, you got to wait until it refills. Now that, of course, cuts you off from the game. But of course, that also, if you're so far into the game, makes you want to utilize the microtransactions. Now, there was an interesting article. I cannot remember who wrote it, but I truly believe what they said was absolutely 100% true. There is no golden method for microtransactions. Every single game is going to have its own spin, its own flavor. Some of the games are going to fail. Some of the other games who have the exact same model are going to succeed. It's just how it works and flows within your game.
I only have one argument in favor of that.
What?
Frickin' Flappy Birds.
Okay.
That a game like that will make it to frickin' number one on the Apple app charts and make millions of dollars. Like, I mean, it's the dumbest game ever.
Yes.
But that's I mean, I have no ill will against the dude for making money off of it. But you think about, and I know we've talked about how shitty the App Store is, but when you look at, it's like a random crap shot. Roll some dice. You have 1 million shot of making it to number one in the App Store, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And hooray! Now the microtransactions work. So in that regard, I totally agree that there is no golden bullet because we've seen how basically random is games with microtransactions becoming the ultimate microtransaction game.
Right. Absolutely.
There's obviously, I think, methods that gamers such as ourselves prefer, but does the rest of the marketplace really give a shit what we think about microtransactions? Probably not.
I mean, excuse me.
Especially when we didn't grow up with microtransactions.
Absolutely.
So now the incoming generation of video game players have a totally different perspective on microtransactions.
Well, the other thing, and this is me being crotchety again, is you give me whatever character you want me to fucking have, and that's the character.
I mean, you don't have to buy 40 different characters for $3 each.
I don't want if my character doesn't immediately have like a golden pimp hat, I don't need one. I don't need to accessorize. I don't need to barbarize my character.
But costumes.
Yes.
We want costumes in every video game. They're awesome, man.
It's called Wonderful Artists of the World. When an individual has a different weapon, a different piece of armor, just show it.
But why do that when I can charge you for the privilege of seeing said item?
No. That was one of the things I really enjoyed about Heroes and Legends Conquerors of Kalor, was that every single time you gained every single time you equipped a new weapon, a new piece of armor, a new shield, it immediately showed the new look you. Now, of course, what was really weird was that it didn't matter what weapon you had, you're going to use a stabbing motion. Which, ladies and gentlemen, I hate to tell you this, but with an axe, the blades are on the side. They're not up and down. They're left and right. So going like this is just going to piss off the enemy. It's not actually going to do any damage.
Wait. What if it's one of those like axes though that has like the steel pole on like the end of it?
Yeah, you don't have any of those in the game.
Damn it. I think I'm pretty sure I saw Gimli do that once or twice.
Okay, yes. If you've got a pike on the end of your axe, then yes.
By the way, I saw the Desolation of Smog.
Oh
no!
Ah!
That movie just pisses me off.
I'm done with Lord of the Rings and Hobbit movies. It's just
like the Dwarf King just makes me want to stab him. Like, just it would be better if you died, Dwarf King.
Oh, speaking of long series, Game of Thrones, ladies and gentlemen, some breaking spoiler news. So I'm going to tell you anyways. Ha ha!
I think I know what it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, there are two main characters that have been in Game of Thrones since the beginning. They are taking this season off because the writers have decided they're taking the season off.
Oh. Odor! Odor!
Odor and Bran.
Odor!
Now, in other news...
One character which I'll be happy to never see again, gotta be honest.
Julie can't stand Bran. She's like, get rid of Bran's storyline. It is so stupid.
Even in the books, I wanted to skip those chapters.
Right. Now, in other news, there's a very controversial scene in the books that has Cersei stripped bare and she has to walk through the streets. Well, she gets stripped bare in a church, or walks through the yeah. Basically, she's walking in the streets nude, and she's also in a church nude. Because of the location that they're shooting in, of course, they've got this really, really nice church. The church will not allow her to be naked in said church. But they will allow her to basically walk up to the building naked. And then they've created a full set for her to do the rest of the naked scenes.
Interesting.
So, ladies and gentlemen, or ladies, or however you want to look at it, you finally get to see Cersei butt naked.
I'm trying not to do anything immature right now.
So, there you go. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have breached the 30-minute mark, which means that the recorded portion of this wonderful episode is now coming to a close.
Which means I can now take this cup and smash it with a hammer as it deserves.
And there's still going to be video evidence, and my wife will kill you.
Damn that real ID.
I know. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to the Ultra Confusion Hangout for myself, Charlie, and Zealeus. It's been a pleasure to give you the amazing amount of knowledge and opinions that we have just bestowed upon you. And, of course, we will see you next week.
Remember, kids, keep on gaming in the free world.
Amen to that, brother.